Welcome to Kikiriki Talks.
Bonjour.
Kamarjoba. Kikiriki.
Kikiriki Talks. Let's kiki about Kikiriki.
Bok. Welcome to Kikiriki Talks, episode 8.
8.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're gonna talk about LGBTQ plus rights
in our countries.
Yeah. Well, a few days ago in Croatia, something really big happened for the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
Basically, now it's illegal to deny adoption to the same-sex couples who are in the lifetime partnership. We don't really know a lot about LGBTQ plus rights in Croatia, but I know that the marriage is not legal, but you can obtain lifetime partnership. And before now, it was not possible for the people in the lifetime partnership to adopt.
One couple
took it to the court.
Yeah.
They fought for 5 years. 2 days ago, it became official that now it's illegal anybody to deny them the right of adoption. So
it's jurisprudence. So it's great. And people were really surprised they didn't have to go all the way to European courts. People were surprised. Yeah, I can understand why they're surprised, because usually Europe is more progressive than some countries in those kind of case. That's really good news for Croatia. Congrats, Croatia.
Amazing. I'm jealous.
So now that this happened, there are a few NGOs who are going to be even stronger to help gay couple with all of the juridic background and lawyers and stuff like that. There are NGOs who can help LGBTQ plus families with this kind of things. And this is a big tool for them, what happened. So that's great. So this is what gave us the idea to talk about this topic today.
Yeah, and next month is the Pride month. So
yeah.
I think it's a good timing to talk about stuff.
We hope Pride will happen. I always go to Pride every year in Paris, and it's great. It's a party in the street, and it's so joyful, and it is quite safe also. I don't know, it's the big sisterhood, brotherhood, colorful, and music. I always have a great time.
Do you know when was the first Pride in Paris?
It was June 25, 1977.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Wow.
It was the first gay pride. Yeah. It's not called gay pride anymore. In the common language, people call it that. But if you're in the activist field, you know that it's Marche des Fiertés, which means March of Pride, of all the prides.
Yeah.
It's always happening in late June in Paris, last weekend of June. So usually the weather is great. And it's a huge organization. We have many chars, a lot of music, drag queens everywhere, free hugs,
glitter everywhere.
It really is something, and it's huge. It's huge. Thousands of people. Last year I went with friends from America. They are not from the same states, but one of them is from New York. And she was really surprised, because actually if you come to the march, you can actually walk with the char and do the march. While apparently in the US, and especially in New York, you can't really do that. You have to be officially registered, and there are fences. So you can't actually be in the street to walk. You can just watch. While in Paris,
the actual official parade, you can just watch that?
Apparently, but I think it's the US, so it's very unsafe, and so they are doing this kind of things. And so I remember that they were both really happy with how we do Pride in France. And Pride is in every big city of France.
Well, we don't have Pride.
Oh.
We tried several times. The biggest Pride that Georgian community did was in 2013, but it was not during Pride months. It was on May the 17th, because it's the day against transphobia and homophobia. It was just 50 activists that came out that day, and 20,000 radical and religious groups also came out the same day. It was brutal. 17 out of 50 people were injured. And the radical groups in Georgia, they are mostly based on religion. Maybe half of the people were just priests. They were also aggressive, really, really aggressive. So basically on that day, government had to somehow put all the activists in a big bus and take them away. That was the only safe option. And if you see pictures from that day, that bus was cracked from the outside.
And this was in 2013.
It was in 2013. That was the first ever attempt to have something close to Pride. And after that, the next year, our patriarch, and next year, so in 2014, he announced that May 17th now in Georgia will be the day of the purity of the family.
Oh my god.
So now we have a holiday called the Day of Purity of the Family, and people are celebrating it, congrats, blah blah blah. The only thing we can do for now, look at it as like a joke, because when you see it as a reality, it's bad. So after that, for a few years, all the attempts to have pride parades in Tbilisi stopped. I think it was 2 years ago that now we have like an official NGO called Tbilisi Pride. They were always planning in June to have pride parade. It was not even in question. It was just like small protests somewhere. And whenever it would happen, the 1 or 2 hours before, it would most of the times get cancelled because of the potential danger. Because again, if the official event of Tbilisi Pride was checked by 100 people, the people who made the anti-events, it would be 10,000 or more. So
that's crazy. So like the whole society is like very homophobic.
Yeah, and aggressive.
Even our generation.
It's not as much in the percentage, but still 50% of our generation maybe. We wanted to make a disclaimer that we did our research about the official numbers, but still...
Yeah, we are not official experts.
Yeah.
We are trying to enlighten, but please keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll see it as our experience, personal. So I think that still a lot of young people from our generation are homophobic.
Yeah, I'm reading about the first Pride in Paris. It was organized by a feminist party, actually. Not party, but movement of liberation of women. It started to happen in Western countries in 1970, New York and everything, and then it arrived in London, and France did their first Pride in Paris in 1977. First Pride in New York was in 1970, so it was like right after Stonewall.
Yeah.
And then in the next few years, it arrived in all Europe. So yeah, thanks the US for that. Honestly, I think Stonewall happened for a specific reason there, but it allowed a lot of stuff afterwards. And if you don't know what Stonewall is, it was a series of spontaneous demonstrations by members of the LGBT community in response to a police raid that began in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969 at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village. So in New York City. Patrons of the Stonewall are the village, lesbian and gay bars and neighborhood street people fought back when the police became violent. And a lot of people of color and transgender people and drag queens, like all the spectrum of the community was involved, and it looks joyful and colorful, but actually there are a lot of issues inside the community, and I think it's important to say that it's a real issue. And Stonewall happened because of black drag queens and black trans women, so it's important to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first big pride, like big happening in France, was in April 1981, where there was 10,000 people. Yeah, it was right after the first socialist president was elected.
Okay.
After that, he was saying that for his campaign, like it was right before the election, like a few weeks before, that he does not accept violence against homosexual people, and so it generated this happening.
While I was doing research, I found out that besides the Baltic countries, Georgia is the only post-Soviet country that has, officially we have this written in our constitution, that you cannot discriminate anyone. There were so many protests against this law. It's basically saying that you are equal to anybody, you cannot discriminate anyone. It was about like gender, age, religion, race, everything. People were protesting, and they are still protesting that.
In 1997, Paris hosted the Euro Pride, and 300,000 people from the whole Euro marched together. And for the first time in Pride history, it was sponsored by huge brands. Two companies that ruled the whole public transport in France were partners. Kronenbourg, Yves Saint Laurent were sponsors. Then there was a huge concert and a lot of radio were doing this huge concert. And actually, yeah, I've been to Pride and it's always a huge party. Because party is part of the community. Like it has always been and always will be.
Mm-hmm. When did the same-sex marriage become legal in
It became
France?
legal in 2013.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny to see what happened the same year in both our countries.
Mm-hmm.
Became legal and alongside with adoption for gay couple. So that was great. But this generated huge reaction and there's big movement against. The law is called Marriage for All. Response was Protest for All. Mariage pour tous, Manif pour
All
tous.
lives matter.
Yeah, it's really the same energy. Like,
Oh my God.
and they were bringing their kids and there were huge protests. Like one weekend it would be pro-marriage and the next weekend it would be anti-marriage. And they had flags and they had the whole branding and it was huge. It was probably one of the biggest like civil movements in the last decades.
Oh my God. If only they protested
I know, right?
real stuff.
But the law still like happened, but they backtracked on some stuff. Adoption is still legal. Yeah, marriage became legal in 2013 in France. Before that, we had a civil partnership since 1999. So basically, all of the like stable gay couple were living under this because if you live together with this official partnership, you still have the marriage financial interest. But this civil partnership does not only apply to gay people. It's like if you don't want to it's a fun fact because no one does that, but if some siblings live together, they could do that still, the financial interest.
Oh.
Actually, homosexuality was decriminalized in France in 1791, so like during the revolution, because when they rewrote the whole convention and stuff, they did not include sodomy, which was the case before. So that's what made it not penalized anymore.
Okay.
And right now, the LGBTQ plus activists are fighting for the assisted reproductive technology. So we call it PMA in French for a lesbian couple and single woman. Because for now, it's only legal for straight couple. It is only legal when you've tried for like more than 2 years, and but only for straight couple. And so now lesbian couple often go to like Belgium and or other countries to do it. And I would also like to say that even though adoption is legal since 2013, in reality, very few families were able to adopt.
Well, same-sex marriage is not legal in Georgia and we don't even have anything like a lifetime or civil partnership. You get privilege when you are married. That's what gay and lesbian couples are asking for in Georgia.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole question, especially when there are kids involved. Are there a lot of LGBTQ families in Georgia?
Not really. 2 weeks ago, we had this one lesbian couple in the evening. They were coming back from somewhere in the car in their neighborhood with the kids. And there was this one drunk neighbor who started shouting stuff at them. And then it became aggressive. And I know that now that guy is arrested. I don't know if he's out now, if he was bailed out or anything. But I was really surprised to see that there is like an actual lesbian couple living peacefully in Tbilisi with a kid.
Well, I also see on social media, on French social media, that there are some families that are fighting with the law to get their kids recognized because one of the parents is a transgender, so it's like a natural kid, but then, you know, like very complicated.
Yeah.
And the kid is like not a toddler. Like this has been going on in the early 2000s, even the 90s. So it reminded me that even if they are not seen, they always exist everywhere.
Oh my God, yeah.
This is why it's worth fighting for it.
Well, the transgender people are also, they are the most marginalized people in Georgia. And I think everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
This is the hardest to grasp for uneducated people, I would say, or just not concerned.
Officially in Georgia, you can change your sex since 2008, but the first case of the legal sex change happened this year, 2021, and it is only possible if you have done the full surgery.
Oh yeah, oh my god.
Which is also against like human rights. But
yeah, it's the same in France. Some trans woman was denied her changing her official gender because she did not do the surgery. So I know it's a thing. Yeah. Well, and actually she won the case after a few years. But this is what is really like tragic with transgender people. It's like it touched something so intimate, personal. It's so brutal to deny someone's right because of their genitals. Yeah, that's awful. And trans kids, intersex kids also, they get butchered at birth. It's really bad. And those are really like the minority inside the minority.
Oh yeah. And there is no support from government in any part of transition. Like nothing. They don't sponsor or don't pay for like anything, hormones, anything. And when it goes to actual operations, it is considered as an aesthetic plastic surgery.
Oh yeah.
So there is no way you can get any kind of funding. Yeah, the only thing I guess you can get from help from some kind of NGO, and that's it.
I'm pretty sure the hormones are paid by healthcare, but I know that you can't start too young because they make you go to therapists to make sure that's actually what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't even think we have anybody who is specifically working in the gender dysphoria or anything. And it's mostly transgender women in Georgia. They cannot get jobs. They cannot because they are discriminated all the time. So basically the only option is prostitution.
Oh my god, yeah. Same.
We have this one big NGO in Georgia. It's called Equality Movement. And they are the ones who mostly help transgender people. Well, one of my acquaintances is a transgender woman. And she had to leave home right after coming out. And then she didn't have anywhere to live. And this one organization, the Equality Movement, I know that for some time they provided a house for them, her and a few other friends. But it can be forever, you know. It was just for a short amount of time. What can you do when you literally cannot get a job? And not even at the bars as a bartender or something, you cannot, because we have only one gay bar in whole Georgia. It's actually has been open for a really, really long times. I'm not sure, but like early 2000s. It's a very, very, very small place in the center of Tbilisi. But now, because of pandemic, they are really, really struggling. And they might not even be able to open after everything ends. How many queer people can you employ in one small bar? Murdering transgender women. I think we have one case every year. For Georgia, it's a lot. It's a lot. We are just 3 million. And all of the cases are so brutal. It's terrible. And then I know that like one of the transgender woman's family, they buried her in men's clothes because most of the families don't accept you. My whole family is homophobic, and they are just homophobic. I'm not even talking about being transgender. But it's always getting better. We are not hopeless or anything.
Yeah, you see some change in the next decades, because it's gonna take a while, of course.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take decades.
Yeah, well, I think in France people are mostly okay. I remember the survey for like the gay marriage, and more than 55% of people are like fine, just give them it. So it's a small majority, but it's still clearly the majority, and especially like with the younger generations. I would say even people on the right wing, not necessarily far right, but still like you know, more conservative. I don't know many homophobic people from my age, that's for sure.
Okay.
Wherever I look.
Well, I'm always saying that like I live in a bubble.
We do live in a bubble.
We do live in a bubble, but that's just my bubble, and I don't usually, or I don't often leave that bubble, to be honest. So, but there are some like rare cases that I actually have to. And then there is always like
And then it's disappointing.
One person who says something
Yeah,
stupid.
you're right. Yeah. The bubble thing is like very true. Like whenever I go on social media, whenever some stuff that is a bit far from me, like would not usually pop up on my social media, and I see the comments, and I'm always, oh my god.
Georgian comments are the worst. Try not to check comments ever on any subject,
it's
honestly.
hurtful.
Yeah. Oh, what about raising awareness? Like, I guess it's big in France.
Well, Paris especially is very gay-friendly.
AIDS or stuff
we
like
have
that.
a campaign like in bus stop for AIDS, and safe sex is easy to practice in France because it's very easy to find free condoms, like in high schools. Like sometimes I remember one time I was just drinking with my friends next to the Seine, and there was this lady who came, and she's working in an NGO, and she gave us free condoms. So it is. But actually, in my generation, people are still doing very stupid things, and people are not scared that much.
Yeah.
Because in the last, I would say, 15 years, the job was really well done.
Yeah.
And now we feel much safer than we actually are. But there were recently some new campaign for AIDS, because AIDS is still a thing, like HIV is still a thing. Well, when you have it, it's covered by healthcare. It costs 1,000 euros per month to get your, the 3 therapy, and it's covered. So that's really great. And when you are on that, you are not contagious, like you can't transmit it anymore. Yeah, and the test to see if you have any kind of
sexually transmitted diseases.
STD, yes. It's also free. Like, if you know where to go, it's free. Like, and it's not you know where to go, it's like you look online and there are some free labs. So we have great policy, but it's at the point that it's so good that if we don't do campaign, like only communication, people forget about it, and it backtracks. Yeah. Stupidly.
Yeah.
I personally am very to this because I remember reading an article when I was 18. It was about a girl who was 20 who said that she got HIV because of unprotected sex in a party. Yeah, and it was like she was so close to me, She was from a big city and close to my age, and this article was like should be spread everywhere. Like it was from a very big media.
We don't have sex education, and I don't think it will happen soon because people are also protesting against that, to not have sex education at schools. And of course you don't like go to school medical office and get free condoms. Like it's a fairy tale.
Oh my.
Only time when I was like with my friends and there was some kind of campaign of giving out free condoms or like information. It was at the music festival, Equality Movement organization. They had this big tent and they were giving out condoms, bunch of flyers, information. You could even do free tests, quick tests for HIV. And they are the only ones who are really, really raising awareness, but it's just one organization. And otherwise, the stuff that government did, now it's not happening at all, but few years ago, the only kind of, like advertisement was just against stigma, not actual safe
protection,
sex.
Yeah.
It was only targeted against stigma and not the actual education.
Well, that was our bit of enlightenment of LGBTQ plus situation in France and Georgia. From our point of view, again, we're not experts. We probably know more than average because we feel very concerned. But please keep in mind that we don't know everything. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you learned new things and that you enjoyed.
Thank you so much.
As usual, we are available on social media. Link in description. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.